Good evening, everyone. How are we all doing tonight? Hope everyone is having a wonderful evening or a lovely start to their day. It is time for us to continue upon our strange adventure with D&D Homebrew. And based on previous suggestions from the last time we did this, I thought it would be good to act upon it and go into more of the crafting side tonight. So we will actually be doing some D&D race designing this time. I will also briefly mention, since I actually forgot to remove it from the overlay, but thank you all for the 150 followers met. I am so proud of you guys for it. Ooh, hello Steph, how are you doing? You super excited. But yes, so as promised, I will be setting up a karaoke stream for some time in the future. That one's probably going to be a little bit different than the other ones because, for one thing, I'm still working on the request list, which last I checked was like stupid long. I think the request list for songs is like 16 pages because I don't know how to compartmentalize. I'm good. What about you? I'm doing quite nicely, Steph. Thank you for asking. I'm doing quite well now. But yeah, so that will be one thing I still need to kind of prep, and then the other is just picking a time because I can't really stream it at the times that I normally do this stuff because, let's be honest, if I start singing random songs with my singing voice at like 9 in the evening, I think someone is going to strangle me with their own bootlaces. So I will probably try and pick a time probably around like 1 or 2 p.m. My time. So that's probably like late evening or night for like US peeps and all that. But once again, I'll keep you guys informed on that. But yeah, for now, let's get into this. So for preparation for this, I did actually get the Floran race description from Frackin' Universe, off the Frackin' Universe wiki in preparation for our little creation. And yeah, we're just gonna kind of see where this goes, because to be honest, the Florans don't have much of a basis to go off of. So firstly, we're creating a race. We will be creating from scratch because it's probably going to be easier than trying to base it off something else. So what is our race? It is, of course, the Floran. But yes, this was actually a suggestion made by Hungry Kobold, one of the viewers who was quite prolific in his in their descriptions of stuff. They actually introduced me to the Frackin' Universe stuff for Starbound, and they were mentioning how they were running like a Floran race for D&D. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I just try and see if I can make it work in this? So I'm just going to see what happens. What is going on? Oh, just mobile notifications. Nothing too important. But yes, so we're going to try and set the Florans up. That probably most of the stuff I'm going to set up is going to be loosely based on how most races are set up for, the fantastical races from Monsters of the Multiverse, which I'm going to go on a quick tangent and just say, if you haven't read that yet, is it just me or is it just a tad strong? Like, not to completely go off on a tangent, but some of these things are kind of ridiculous. Like, can we just be honest? Do the Aarakocra really need the ability to cast Gust of Wind? Like, are you kidding me? Flight is already stupidly strong enough. Why do they also need wind magic? And like, now a lot of the abilities scale off your proficiency bonus, which I don't mind that, but it does quickly change, like, you know, just how strong just the singular race dynamic is with fantastical races. Granted, I know this is a supplement and not everyone's going to agree with it, but that was just my 2 cents on it. I think it may actually be a little bit too strong, but again, I'm sure they play tested it and they found that it was alright. But so let's just hope it is. But yes, medium or small? I'm gonna say they're gonna be forcefully medium because the way I'm thinking is like the origin story for the Florans is that I'm thinking it would be something tied to the Feywild, because the Feywild has a lot of things to do with how nature affects like creatures, and I have a feeling that chances are the sentience would most likely come from the Feywild out of all sources. So I might need to pull up one of my own homebrew races here to remember how the hell you set this up, because the race thing is a massive amount of stuff to read. We can set up some basic stuff. Walking speed, we'll set to 30. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, lead flank if not applicable. No climbing speed, no swimming speed, no flying speed. They're just going to be regular movers because again, I think from what I've read here, they're good at exploration, but they don't have anything that's like a benefit for, say, like swimming or anything like that. So we can probably just leave them as regular. As just like, regular 30 movement speed, standard race. Race group, none of those. Short description. Shops the confirm race model. And this is the full description. Yeah, okay, so what is it? I need to go to my creations again to view how I set it up for my races, because I have made a few. We didn't get to see a good look at them, but one of the ones we will touch upon when we get to it is the Yamnaya, which is probably one of my better races to run, to be honest. They're basically the concept of humans being mutated by their environment and going to some of the outer planes that aren't normally inhabited, like Hades, the Wildlands. What's the one that Mechanicus is in? Where is it? Yeah, Mechanus. So that'll be an interesting one. We're going to update it basically in the same way that the Fantastical Beast one does. So it won't be too many changes, I think, for that. But yes, so the description for Florans. This is what I was thinking, is essentially a result of the planar energy of the Feywild imbuing sentience into nearby flora. And we'll just say it's a very rare phenomenon because, it's an exotic race. We're not going to be expecting like tons of Florans. Like, sure, we had Floran settlements in the original. Oh, I forgot to set some music. Of course, for you guys watching the VOD, there will be no music, so I would advise that you set your own music. But for those who are here, let's put on some epic music, some nice cinematic stuff. Hopefully that's coming through, because I honestly cannot hear it. It's coming from a source outside of the one I normally use, so I'm just going to hope that it's playing and we'll see what happens. But so I think planet energy, the Feywild, and imbuing sentience, that will be the start. I want to say, like, due to their basic knowledge of the world, many Floran live in the forests surrounding planar portals to the Feywild. The Feywild, because they're hunter-gatherers mainly, right? Yeah. Curious plant people live their lives around the needs of their stomachs. Yeah, so they're driven by hunger, basically. And yeah, so hunting game and curiously wandering in search of. Do you want to say answers? Yeah, I guess just answers, because again they're described as curious, so it makes me think, okay, they have something behind them. What is this? Introductory sentences describing racial traits. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's something we cover later. Yeah, we'll just quickly dot point this first, because I think, because again, we can write a more detailed description in a little bit. I'd say, well, we should mention that Florans are driven by the stomachs. And are primarily driven by their carnivorous nature, and as such are easy to influence, easy to, I don't know, yeah, maybe easy, as such are easy to bribe with a raw cut of meat or something. That could be like a funny thing, because again, they're very primal. I think, yeah, we can go into that a bit further later down the track. Racial trait introduction. Honestly, that can be the thing where we just kind of pull a little trick of like, yay, let's just quickly grab this. In the remnant power of the Feywild drives the ongoing evolution of the Florans. I think that should work as like a nice descriptor at the start. We'll have subraces? No. Florans in Starbound don't have subraces, so we're not going to run that. Let's create this, because this will now give us, I think, yeah, the more detailed editor. Yeah, so all the stuff we just put in was the basic information section. So now this is where we can do interesting things like the racial trait stuff, which is where kind of all this comes in. So this is things like the ability score increase and things like that. So I might actually open up the editor for the Yamnaya so I have this as a reference, because this is going to make my life a little bit easier. We're not touching subraces, so it's mainly just this, the racial traits. So, sorry, I'm just like kind of pulling things up so I have like references on proper like formatting, because again, good formatting makes things so much easier to read. So I wonder if I should probably switch these around. Like, I feel like the ability score increase should not be that high in this, but we can keep this as it is for now. Let's see. What's first? I guess we'll start with movement speed. So if we start with, actually, let's add size first. Okay, so we'll just kind of do a few little changes here. Or just make things a little bit quicker. We can copy most of this across. We just need to kind of, I guess, specify it more briefly for Florans. Because let me see, they don't have a specific height given. Like pretty much everything in Starbound kind of goes off one basic height. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, that Florans, yeah, we'll say they like stand between, we'll say 4 and 6 feet tall. Give them a bit of an extra like height range, because let's be honest, not all of them are going to grow to be the same height, and depending on the plant may make it harder for them to have a certain level of height. And then maybe we'll say the average, we'll keep them at 180. That should be fine to start with. Hide in the builder. We'll just go with the display order that I use for Yamnaya, just to speed things up. Feature type. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. The granted trait. This thing is actually really good to have. Is called out. I don't know what that actually means, but I'm not worrying about that. There's not really any modifiers. It's just a descriptor, so perfect. That's saved to start with. Wonderful. So now if I check, yep, there we go. Size is there. God damn it. Let's get that bot out of here. Yes, okay, so that's now the first trait knocked down. What next? Age. Oh god, this is gonna be the question. Like, because this isn't stuff that's normally, I think, brought up in the actual game. So I'm curious to see how we can leverage this. Like, I think the size thing was perfectly fine. I guess we'll go to age next. Let's see. Yeah, we'll probably. I'm going to assume that the plants are not going to live as long as we think they will. So another racial trait. This one is age, otherwise known as age. So I want to say that because of Archfey magic, that like the Florans kind of live to be quite old, especially because, think about it, the elves themselves that live in the plains, like most things that live in the Feywild tend to live like stupidly long lives, aside from like creatures that departed from it, and just in general, plants tend to outlive humans. So my thought is, we could probably make these Florans live for a stupid long time. Like, my thought was maybe something along the lines of 300, 400 years. But it may be a thing if I check the stipulation of how long do plants typically live for. How long do plants typically live for in the wild? This is going to be an interesting thing to find out, because I genuinely do not know. Perennial. How long do plants live? Yeah, that's perfect. That's an article I need. House plants. What on earth is this? I'm going to bring this over here because this actually looks ridiculous. It's literally a blog about this dude's plants that he's been growing for like 10 years. Like, what? Cool, whatever. Yeah, over 100 years old. 42 years old. Trees measured to be 5,000 years old. We're not making these things 5,000 years old. That's actually ridiculous. I'm just going to go the safe route, and I'm just going to make it 300. So yeah, so we'll make it 300 years. So Floran age in a, well, Florans don't really have a concept of aging, do they? Floran's age at an accelerated or a slow rate, because here's the thing, I know plants can very quickly, like, you know, grow and bud, but do we maybe slow it down? Yeah, by comparison, budding into a mature adult, and by the age of, say, 50, and thanks to the fusion of both Feywild and energy with the long-lasting thanks to the fusion of Feywild energy that first granted their sentience, they tend to live for upwards of 300 to 400 years. I like the idea of there being like, you know, a wise old Floran who's you know, still quite primal, but has the know-how to kind of, I guess, back it up if so to speak. So you can have this like notion that they've served their time being like, you know, a frontline warrior within their tribe, and that from there they've, you know, decide to basically step away from the, I guess, the fight. Yeah, granted. So we'll give them a feature type that's granted. Again, no modifiers because this is just all descriptor, so we can save that. Beautiful. And cancel. Okay, so we've got size and age figured out. What is next? I guess we should figure out ability score increases, because this is going to be important for later. Because, I mean, based on their attribute adjustments, my first thought is a 2 in con. But then I don't know what they would have, like, past that. Maybe, because I'm also noticing they have mental protection, so my other thought might be a 1 in intelligence. That could be, like, an interesting kind of build for it. So let's do the ability score increase as the next one we do. Okay, so ability score increase. This is where we can start doing some funky things. Oh yeah, I forgot I made this like a variable one. I think for this one we might keep it static because, again, the traits from Starbound are quite static, so... Wait, did I make it a choice? No, I didn't. So I should definitely fix that up too. I guess I'm also doing light edits to the Yamnaya at the same time, because I thought I changed that. Well, guess I'm not. Let's see. Okay, so Constitution, because again they have increased health in the game. This is by 2, and your intelligence increases by 1. So that should take care of this. Perfect. So now we just need to add those ability scores. It's a granted trait, because again, this is something you would get naturally. Okay, and then we have to go to modifiers to add it. Yeah, because it's treated as a bonus based on how it's all set up. Display order 1. There we go. Saving. Yeah, this is the one thing that's kind of a bit of a shame with like all the homebrew stuff, is that it's a lot of understanding how things are formatted, especially because like once you start applying things to character sheets, that's where things get a little weird. What is it? Am I like missing something? Oh, do I have to like... Oh, I have to type in the score. That's what it is. So I need Constitution score. Where are you? Ability check, saving throws, score. There it is. Where is it? Fixed value 2. Save. Hopefully that should look exactly as I think it does. Yeah, because it's fixed value. Yeah. So we can do that. Then we had another one for... What was it? Intelligence? I think it was intelligence. Where's intelligence? There you are. Perfect. With that, ability score increases are set. Oh yeah. Quickly save that all just to double check. And perfect. Ability score increases. Set up. Also quickly save this one just to fix it all up. So perfect. What's next? I guess we'll go languages just to kind of knock it out of the park. Again, I'm probably going to make it that Florence just speaks Sylvan, because what, Sylvan's the one that all the Feywild uses, so it makes the most sense that they would know it. Because like even looking at like monster stat blocks, like plants don't actually speak, so why would they have like a very specific language? I'm not going to make an entire language just for Florence. That's kind of actually broken. Okay, racial trait, languages. This is going to be, yeah, so copy that. Common and Sylvan. And we can again just claim this off like, you know, Feywild magic. I mean, arguably I'd say that they can... Oh, now this is the mean thing. Do we make it that they can speak, read, and write Common, and they can speak Sylvan but can't read or write it? Because, like, in my head, I understand, yes, you could argue the idea that they know how to write in Sylvan, but considering that these guys are mainly like, you know, hunter-gatherers, I could also kind of argue that you shouldn't actually be like running them in what's it called? Oh, I'm trying to think of the word. The first? What do you mean by the first in this case, Steph? I'm a little confused. Like you think that they shouldn't be able to read or write Sylvan? Is that what you're meaning? I'm a little confused. Because again, it's like my thought is that, you know, you have to make sure that everyone can at least read and write Common, because if they can't, then their character's just screwed, essentially. They need to be able to have a basic level of understanding, but yeah. This is such a hard pick. Read and write, Common, and Sylvan. The Floran's knowledge of language, fundamentals comes from their Feywild heritage. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say. Where they can't read or write except Common. Okay, yeah, then I like that. So I'm going to say, so you can speak, read, and write Common, and can only speak and can speak Sylvan. Yeah. Okay, so you can speak, read, and write Common. Additionally, you can speak Sylvan, but cannot read or write it. Yeah, I like that idea, Steph, because again, it's a nice flavor thing, because most of the time it's just kind of assumed, oh, you know a language, you know how to speak, read, and write it. Just basically up. But I think it would be interesting to have like a race where it's like they know how to speak it, but they can't read or write it. And yeah. Basic language skills. I want to say like are a byproduct of their Feywild origins. Yeah, I do like that. I think that'll be a better idea. Perfect. Oh, Missed the one letter I didn't want to miss. Okay, perfect. So now we just need to set this up as a granted and then save. And now we should just be able to add it as, yeah, we can just add it as a modifier. So display order 8. I always forget, it's like right at the bottom. Languages are always at the bottom. And now, what is it? It's a proficiency. Oh, sorry, no, I saw language earlier. Yes, okay, language. Where's common? There you are. Save. Yep, so now that, yeah, it only needs the language thing, right? Yes, yes, we don't have to add anything extra. Language. This time we want, where is it, Sylvan? Yeah, Sylvan. I love how there's the option to just go for some of the monster languages. Like, would you really want a cat race homebrew that knows how to speak Sphinx? When on earth are you going to run into a Sphinx? How often do you think you're going to run into a Sphinx? It's such a weird thing that they like allow you to pick just monster like speeches. Like you could learn to speak Sphinx, you could learn to speak Sahuagin, you could learn to speak to Otyughs. Like, no, that's ridiculous. Oh yeah, this. Oh yeah, I remember this is like an interesting thing. Can speak, but not read or write. Well, that is a detail thing because again, it's just something that helps stipulate. I don't know how that's going to work when we set that up on a character sheet, but we'll test that. It's the whole point of these homebrews. We can test them later and see if they work. Okay, what other base things do we need for this? I think the last thing we need is a base. We need speed and we need alignment. That's it. Okay, let's add speed. I think we said last time they were going to be 30 feet. I think they were 30 feet speed. I was tempted to make them 25 feet just purely because, you know, plants aren't necessarily fast. They've got very rigid bodies. But I think we can just argue, hey, magic. Yep, so we don't need any of that. Is that actually how they phrase the speed? Yeah, it's just your walking speed. So we can actually remove base. We can just say your walking speed. Interesting. Okay, display 5. Again, hide in the builder. I need to double check which ones actually need to be hidden in the builder and which ones aren't, because that's going to be important later. But again, stuff we can clean up later. Alright, easy, I think. Oh wait, we need to add... Oh wait, no, we don't need to add it because it's already added in the base section. So that's done and we can head back. Perfect. Easy enough. And then now we just need alignment, which again, I think is just a, yeah, it's just a base description. Yeah, base description with no modifiers. Even though nowadays it feels like the alignment system's kind of being thrown out a lot of the times, but I mean, in my opinion, I still think an alignment system is important just because it helps set at least a baseline for people. But like, of course, once you're good enough, you don't really need it. Not really. Okay, so what do we need? Grab yoink. Grab that. Let's display order 3. Chuck this in here. I'm trying to remember, they're very primal, so they're primal and curious. So definitely chaotic. Yeah. Ones are both curious and primal creatures, and thus tend tend towards chaotic alignments. Due to their instinctive due to these instincts. Yeah, primal instincts, I think. Oh, helps if I can spell tonight, Christ. Thank God autocorrect exists. Both curious and simple creatures. Yeah, so that should, I think, work for alignment. Of course, it's granted. And again, hide the builder, because we don't need that. You aren't making them make a choice. Yeah, I'm pretty certain like the only things you don't hide is like, I'm pretty certain is just like languages and, is it languages and speed? I don't remember if you hide speed. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We can figure it out. Okay, so from this point, this is where we can start adding like the special traits for Florans based on what they have here. So we've already kind of given them the extra like intelligence point for covering the mental protection, because let's be honest, we're not giving them resistance to psychic damage. That is actually disgusting. I think the two that are going to be, or the few things that I think are going to be more useful for this, definitely I'm going to say resistance to poison due to the fact that they're plants. Yeah, probably resistance to poison and or lightning, but of course vulnerability to fire. I think that's an argument we can make. The photosynthesis thing, I'm wondering how we run that, because my first thought is based on something I once did for a homebrew class I was working on that had a photosynthesis trait. So maybe if I pull that up, I can just take a look and see what I did for that and see if we can kind of rework something into this slightly. One sec. Of course, the moment I need my laptop, it's on the other side of the room. Who would have thought? But alright, let's quickly pull this up. Where did I save it? I think it's just in here. I'm pulling this up on my laptop, so I won't be able to actually show it on the stream. But I'm just loading it up just to see if I can get it again. Because yeah, I remember I was working on another like class basically that was going to be like a variant druid called a Flora Weaver. If they don't get sunlight after X amount of days, they take -1 or disadvantage. I mean, yeah, that could be one thing. Because like the way it's kind of phrased in here is that essentially it's like whenever the sun is up, you get these perks, and whenever the sun is low, you don't get those perks. And from memory, artificial light still technically kind of has the same effect as sunlight, so I'm half thinking it might be the thing of like, if you're in direct sunlight, you get these benefits, and if you're in darkness, then you get these like disadvantages. I think that's how I want to try and phrase it. Because yeah, I do agree, like the whole thing of like, if they don't get sunlight after X amount of days, that could be like a disadvantage. But again, it's also the thing of like, say if your party gets forced into the Underdark, you could be down there for months. That could actually really mess up a Floran character. So I think what might just be better to do is have it say, if you're in sunlight, you get benefits. If you're not in if you're in if you're in darkness, you get these detriments. I think that's going to be the better way to do it, because then also it, one, encourages the Florans to essentially, what's it called? It encourages them to try and bring the fights out in the sunlight, because again, that's when they're strongest, and also gives them incentive to be, carrying around torches, because for them they don't have a way to see outside of light. But let me just see if I can find, where is it? There was a non-energy surge. Oh god, I forgot how detailed this thing is. Photosynthesis. Whenever you were staying in sunlight, restore hit. Oh yeah, I forgot that the photosynthesis thing was like a 17th level, like, subclass trait, so that's not going to work. So, new plan. Let's add this racial trait. I'm going to call, because what do they refer to it as? They just refer to it as photosynthesis. Yeah, I'm just gonna name it photosynthesis for the sake of this. So there's gonna be more when I refer to this to get some details. So let's get this description figured out. So the description wise, it would be when your character, I feel like this is where I have to kind of actually more look at phrasing based on how sunlight sensitivity is phrased. Let me see if I can pull up drow, because I know drow still have sunlight sensitivity from what I remember, unless they got rid of it, but I'm pretty certain they kept it. Elf, where is it? Drow, sunlight sensitivity. Yep. When your character is in direct sunlight, I kind of think this could be because again, they have resistances based on this. I kind of think what we could do is we could say that they get resistance to poison and lightning damage when they're in direct sunlight, and then when they're in darkness, they have vulnerability to fire. That's my thought. Yeah, because I'm just like looking at things. Yeah, because slowly consume food, and I think we can also kind of tie this to what is it? Appetite, essentially. When your character is in direct sunlight, they gain resistance to, what is it? Yeah, they gain resistance to lightning and poison. To lightning and poison damage. Additionally, well, I guess it's when you are in direct sunlight. When you're in direct sunlight, you gain resistance. Additionally, if you are in direct sunlight for at least 4 hours, or I guess like if you're exposed to direct sunlight. Exposed to direct sunlight for at least 4 hours, you, what's the phrasing on Goodberry? It's like you gain the full sustenance of a day or something. Where is it? Goodberry. I'm sorry that I'm like having to go like pull up all these references. I just want to get the wording right, because you know how like some rules lawyers are very pedantic. Yeah, enough nourishment to sustain for 1 day. You gain enough nourishment to sustain yourself without food or water for 1 day. I think that's a pretty good benefit, because not many races have the ability to essentially stave off hunger through light. But this is where we can start throwing these weaknesses in, because they're weak to fire. This is where we can introduce vulnerability to fire, which is not impossible to do on a what's it called? On a race. I've run vulnerability to radiant damage on one of my homebrew races that was heavily influenced off the Savage Song. When I made the Maokai, I gave them vulnerability to radiant damage because they're abyssal creatures. Or, well, they're fiends. So I was like, they need to have that as a vulnerability. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Because I'm also noticing these, like the minus 10% health or minus 20% energy. I feel like that's not fair. I feel like that's just not fair on the race. Okay, so I think we'll keep the photosynthesis, then, so we'll keep that as is, and then I think when you are in, okay, here's the other thing. Do we make it dim light or darkness? I kind of think it should just be in darkness. Because think about it, you're more likely to be in dim light than you are going to be in darkness a lot of the time. So I feel like it's a bit unfair to make it that it's in both dim light and darkness, because you're more likely to be in dim light than you are in darkness, and so it becomes a massive detriment. There should also be prefaced with a however to really stipulate this. However, when you are in darkness, you gain vulnerability to fire damage. And this is where I think we can tie it. Dim light is my vote. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I could see dim light still being just as prevalent. You know what? We'll put dim light for now, and we'll see like whether it's potentially too much of a nerf for Florans. Okay, however, when you're in dim light darkness, you gain vulnerability to fire damage, and I'm half tempted to say like reduced movement speed, because I'm looking at this. Minus 20% energy could potentially be treated as a movement speed decrease. So it's like you gain vulnerability, fire damage, and your movement speed is decreased by 5 feet or 10 feet. I'm gonna make it 10 feet to start with, because again, I want it to be this thing where it's like you want to be very careful about sticking near light, because I mean, heck, it's basically the reverse of how the Maokai was set up, where the Maokai basically, you know, they have a lot of they have a lot of natural attacks. Like, actually, let me see if I can pull it up, because this was something I remember being something very interesting. Oh, I accidentally pulled out a list that shouldn't have been there. We're going to close that out. Let me see. Let me pull up the Maokai briefly, because this is something I remember doing specifically with the Maokai when it came to their, yes, so their claws and their bite. So you can see they have natural weapons, and of course they deal standard damage. This is the thing that's interesting. So I had it, if you make the unarmed strike in dim light or darkness, deals an extra bit of necrotic damage, and then for the bite, if you make it in dim light or darkness, they have to make a strength save, and if they fail, you regain hit points equal to 1d6 plus your con mod. So for this particular class, it is set up that you want to be in dim light or darkness, whereas this is the exact opposite. You want to avoid dim light and darkness. Let's see. Display order. Most of these are usually down low, I think. So maybe we'll set this at 6. We can of course rework these later. Granted. Yeah, character levels are fine. We're not hiding in the builder. It's important that they see what this trait can do. I'm also not going to set modifiers for it, because here's the problem. There's no thing in your character sheets to say what kind of light level you're in, and I don't want to have to try and program it. So I'm basically just going to have it as just a written thing and not set up modifiers, because again, it's something where you just have to remember it. The only one I'd be very tempted to put in as a modifier is these two. Is the resistances and the vulnerability. I actually think I might just put them in, because then that puts it a bit more in their characters' faces. So resistance, where is it? Lightning. Yeah, so I think I'll put the resistances in, and because then that brings it up where they're like, why do I have these resistances? And then you can read it. So it gives incentive to actually go and read why you have them. Where is it? Poison. There it is. So resistance to lightning and poison. And then the big one, which is the vulnerability. Yeah, vulnerability. Fire. Because you're a goddamn walking plant. Okay. Yeah, perfect. I mean, granted, if this thing is a bit broken, we can also potentially, level gate it. I don't think we need to, though. I'd prefer not to level gate things where I can. The only exception I make is with, spell stuff, which I mean, even the new book does. It doesn't... It level gates spells, it doesn't level gate abilities. Even though I argue that you should probably have it for the Aarakocra. Hungry attack, no. What am I looking for? Okay, I think the last thing we probably want to put in... Okay, actually there's two things I think I will put in. Because again, the photosynthesis thing is quite a strong power to have. I think what we'll do is, we'll give them proficiency in bow and spear mastery, and give them advantage on survival checks in forests. Those two will be kind of nice little ones. I'm curious as to whether this is possible. I don't think we can leverage giving them the ability to deal poison damage with weapons. That's just kind of a bit strong. So yeah. The only other thought I could think of is based off hunger, but again, hunger's not a big thing in D&D. So I don't think we can leverage that. For now, I think we'll give them, mastery of bows and spears. And of course the survival and nature checks in forest biomes. Past that, not much else I can think of. I think this would be under... Yeah, I think it's under Tribesman's Intuition is where these come in. But I can double check. Yeah, so Tribesman... So you could argue that we can make it two separate traits. I'm going to just lump it into one. And you know what? I'm crazy enough that I would. I'm going to jokingly call this one Forest for the Trees. Because I actually think that's a really funny name. I think that's a really funny name for this. I can also go back to editing this. Wonderful. I don't remember if I gave this thing a snippet. Oh yeah, this was something I could do. I remember this. Yes, okay. Yeah. You have advantage on survival and nature checks while when you are in a forest. We don't need to really... I don't think we needed to code these up. Oh, we did. Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll just give them general things. Like that, I think that's fine. This can, yeah, that should be fine. What's that display order? Okay, so that one's 6, so we'll give this one like 7. Hide on details page, no. We're not hiding these in the builder. We just need to make this granted, and then we're good. God, I remember having to do this for like all the subclasses. That was hell. That was actual hell. Okay, modifiers. I don't think you can have modifiers for advantage, can you? You can. Ah, interesting. Okay, advantage on nature. When in a forest. I'm gonna just copy that detail so we can just chuck that in each time. I'm gonna be curious to see how this works, because again, this is something I've never tested before, so I'm curious to see if this works. So it was a nature and survival. There we go. Boom. Save. I'm gonna be curious to see how it shows up in the character builder on D&D Beyond. Granted, I don't know yet what's going to be happening with D&D Beyond because of everything with Wizards of the Coast, but I'm sure it will turn out fine. They'll probably keep the site up just exactly as it is. They'll just transfer like account stuff over on the back end and no one will really care. Okay, so the last thing is we wanted to add... Yeah, we wanted to add the combat training. That's it. Yeah, this is the one we want. And generally, I'm probably just going to copy paste this straight off the straight off this primitive combat training. So you have proficiency with the... How many bows are there? We're not including longbows. I'm just going to probably go with shortbow, longbow, and spear. Yeah, Sylvan... Primitive Sylvan combat technique. Perfect. Yep, so proficiency with shortbow, longbow, and spear. Because again, we're not including crossbows because technically they're an urban invention. We'll set that to 8. Give it as a granted. This is going to be interesting to see if this actually codes up correctly. Okay, modifiers. Let's do this. Proficiency time, baby. There's proficiency. What is it? Spear. There we go. Proficiency, spear. Proficiency. Thank God they allow you to like frickin' what's it called? Thank God they allow you to search up like individual weapons, because if you or like just search up in this table, because imagine if you couldn't. This would be actual hell on earth. Actually, if I type in bow. Okay, yeah, so it is just shortbow and longbow. Easy peasy. Shortbow, last one's longbow. Proficiency, longbow. Perfecto mundo. So I think that's everything in terms of like back-end modification for the Florans. So now it's just kind of more basic details. I'm not going to put a short description in for now. Let's try and knuckle this down. And let's start like trying to write this up in a bit more of a cleaner fashion. Because, you know, I want it to be kind of more like how the Yamnaya are written up, if we can. So let's see if we can do it. Let's see. The radiant so the radiant energies of the Feywild can manifest strange influence upon the landscapes of the material plane, of the prime material plane. Warping the environment around it. And even allowing its residents to shelter in, or to take up shelter comfortably. Sometimes these energies can sometimes these planar energies can imbue, can culminate, or sorry, yeah, can be absorbed by the local fauna within its surroundings. These plant energies can be absorbed by the local fauna within its surroundings, and occasionally imbues sentience within these plants. Thank you for the hydrate, Steph. Oh, and even a stretch. How kind of you. Oh, there we go. Oh, man. I have not stretched at all today. I really need that. I guess I can also try and stretch out my leg a little bit, because I got a really bad leg cramp this morning, and it has not eased up at all today. Normally they do, but this one is really working for it. Occasionally imbue sentience within the, I don't want to say more advanced plants, because there's no such thing as more advanced plants, so to speak. Occasionally imbue sentience within the more developed plants. The result is a humanoid plant creature referred to by many as Florans, based on their, I guess, colorful patterns. Yeah, based on their, oh wait, sorry, not local fauna, flora. How did I forget? It's literally in the name of the race. Bro, what am I doing? I'm like completely forgetting that there is a distinct difference between flora and fauna. God damn. Who would have thought it? Florence, based on their colorful patterns, based on their colorful patterns and bizarre origins. Florans are quite primitive in their nature, mainly driven by the thrill of the hunt in order to satiate their carnivorous appetites. In most Floran tribes out in the wild can be easily bribed with an acceptable offering of meat, but are also open to negotiation. The elders are more open to simple negotiation. And occasionally the combination of such energies. There we go. The elders are more open to simple negotiation. Negotiation. Mature Florans have a curious interest in the world they have come to inhabit, and can be relied on as talented explorers and hunter-gatherers by the local populace. Most people fear the Florans based on their based on their more savage temperament. Like most people fear the Florans based on their more savage temperament, but but druids and other Fey-aligned creatures are more accepting of them, recognizing their presence as a, I'm trying to think of the word. Recognizing their presence as a sign, and as a sign of new direction, I think. Yeah. As a sign of, maybe as an omen of new direction. An omen of new directions to come. I think that's a nice kind of poetic way to sum up the Florans in a simple manner. I'm trying to remember, did I actually give a short description for the Yamnaya? I don't remember if I did. No, I didn't. They don't need a short description, it's fine. Cool. Then yeah, I guess we're done with the Florans. Let's save this and let's see if this works. Because now I'm curious. Firstly, let's check formatting. Yeah, languages, ability score increase, the age, the alignment, the size, the speed, photosynthesis, forest of the trees. Yeah, that's all set up nicely. Now here comes the true test. If I make a new character, is this race gonna work? This is what I'm curious to see. So let's go grab me some of my character sheets. Or go to my characters. Yes, I have a lot, don't judge. I like making characters. It's fun. I'm looking forward to running Rodney. Rodney's going to be a really funny one to work on. Okay, let's test this. Standard. We're not completely like inept at this. I'm just going to call this test Floran character. Homebrew content. We'll turn on non-core as well, just to be safe. Yeah, this is all fine. It's not going to matter in the end. The important thing is the race. So let's see if we can get this up and running. Come on. It's always a bit slow at the start. Oh wow, they've actually done a lot to this. No judgment. Well, thank you. Well, thank you, Steph. Yeah, the thing is, I have this like weird habit where if I come up with a character idea, I will make a new character sheet and I'll write it down and then I'll work on it over time. And so because of that, I've kind of got this now giant bank of like 100 characters where if you know, there's a campaign going and I want to play in it, then I don't have to like, you know, worry about thinking up a new character concept. I can literally look through my bank of characters and go, okay, so I can run like one of these 5. Which one, DM, which one do you think you would more prefer for this setting? And normally that works out. But yeah, I haven't seen this since they added Monsters of the Multiverse. It's interesting that they have them listed separately. I guess because they are like a supplement and very much like a rework. So it's interesting, yeah. So now you have your regular bugbear from Volos, and now you have your bugbears from Monsters of the Multiverse. It's interesting. I actually think it's probably good that they have that distinction. Otherwise, I think people would genuinely go a little bit nutty. But that is not important. The important thing is, can we find the Floran? There it is. Beautiful. Choose race. Let's see how this looks. Okay. Immediate thing right off the bat. Forgot to set age to not appear in the builder. Let's quickly fix that. Hide in builder. Thank you. Now let's see if I reload it, if that changes it. It should update in real time. Come on. Maybe not. We'll find out. Again, something we can fix up later. I might have to do like a full save change each time. And then maybe that fixes it. It's no big deal if it's still sticking around, but we'll just double check. Okay. Maybe it's the kind of thing where I have to change race and then repick it. I mean, it's no big deal either way, but let's just see. Let's see if we can force this a bit more than what we got. Oh no, it's fine. Let's just make a basic class and we'll see if these changes work. So let's see, abilities. Con, intelligence. Okay, we're off to a good start. Let's see. What would you? Okay, if you're working with a con, with a con intelligence build, what would you be tempted to run? I mean, like, it's weird. It's set up for like, you know, potentially like a fighter or a really tough wizard. You know what? Let's make it a blade sing. No, actually no. We should not make a blade singing wizard. That's kind of stupid. Paladin, no. Rogue, perhaps. For now, let's just make it a barbarian, because let's be honest, they're primitive. We make them a barbarian. Okay, so remind me again. What's our advantage on survival and nature, and they have proficiency with a lot of those weapons. It almost makes me think I should actually run an arcane class, because then we can see if they actually pick up those proficiencies. I want to see if those proficiencies actually kick in. So we'll just give it, you know, Arcana. Maybe we'll give them some medicine, because, you know, they are kind of meant to be like a shaman, so to speak. We won't worry about spells for now. Abilities. Oh, this does actually appear at the top. That must have been a recent change, so you can easily see what you've picked. We'll just go standard array. This is just to make our lives easier. Intelligence, chuck that at 15. Con we can keep reasonably low. Charisma we'll put at 12. Wisdom at 14. Con can be at 8. Dex 13. 10 strength. Can you pick the last one? Thank you. Easy. We don't have to worry about description for this. Equipment, I guess we'll just pick like just basic. Quarterstaff. Arcane Focus. Crystal. Scholar's Pack. Boom. Okay. Let's go to the sheet and see if this worked. Let's see. Yep. Longbow, shortbow, spear. Perfect. Oh, okay. Interesting. I don't need those extra brackets on this character sheet. Okay, the defenses showed up fine. Features and traits. Let's see if everything's fine. Oh, yeah, we need to turn it off for those too. That's another thing I forgot. Okay. This is fine. We can quickly fix up all of these. Interesting though that these don't show... Well, I guess because we didn't put like particular flares to them. Not that I think we need to. But maybe we should. Because what was it? What like, where did we put the restrictions? Okay, first off, let's go to languages and fix up that one restriction we put in there. So it was in the modifiers. Yeah, so we just need to not put the brackets, because it's going to auto put those brackets in for us. That's nice. Perfect. We've already fixed up all these. We should also check walking speed. What's the walking speed? Yeah, 30 feet. Okay, we're good on this. Yeah, I'm just going through basic debugging because I do want this to actually work, and I would like it if people can actually just use it as is. I should probably put the description of photosynthesis in. So let's see where. Okay, so we need to turn off age, alignment, size, speed. So age, hide and sheet. What is it? alignment, hide and cheat. What else was there? Size and speed with the other two. Size, hide and cheat, and speed. Hide and cheat. I will say also the interesting thing that you do get is like an insight when you are like doing all this homebrew stuff is you get to see a lot of like the hidden back end about how they program all of these in a very simplistic sense, which is kind of cool because you get to kind of see like how you could program things to like, you know, work on a simple mechanical level. I mean, it's how we've gotten half of these to work, which is quite impressive. Yeah, this is the other thing I'm noticing. Yeah, so these descriptions don't actually get put in. So I guess you do have to just read it. Okay, let's put in a basic description of photosynthesis. Honestly, we should probably just cut and paste this. Yeah, we'll just do that. Makes it simpler. Because again, something that's easier to read that way. Save changes to all. Now let's do a little bit of a reload, see if that fixes it. I'm hoping it updates like super quick. Let's see if we go to features and traits. Nope. I'm wondering why. Do I have to go like out of the character sheet and back in, like manually? It kind of sucks because I really wanted this to work. Now view. Let's see, will this work? By reloading. They're still there. A little bizarre, but okay. Because yeah, like even these haven't updated. I'm wondering if I need to actually go into the manage and actually swap and like basically like swap to a new race then back to Floran. Let's do that because it shouldn't be too complicated to do it. Because yeah, I can already see that one change has happened. Okay, let's switch from... Let's try this. We'll switch from Floran to Bugbear for half a second. And now let's switch black to Floran and see if that works. Boom. And now let's see if that worked. I have a feeling it probably didn't. And it worked! Perfect! Then yeah, hell yeah. This thing is all set up and ready to go. Beautiful. So that is all available now. So now you guys should be able to find it through I guess searching through the Homebrew Creations. Perfect. Everything is ready to go. So now that we have the Florans done, since we do have the time, let's go ahead and fix up the Yamnaya. So I guess I'll go through like the actual description of what the Yamnaya actually are in explanation, because the main reason I kind of made them was because I thought it'd be fun to basically have, you know, some form of like sentient species essentially living in these planes, like aside from like, you know, the Gearth and a few others. Like I think it would be nice to have something that was relatively similar to humans actually living in these spaces. So yes, the Yamnaya. I'll kind of just do a dramatic reading of the little blurb I have for them, which is, the outer planes are a menagerie when it comes to their inhabitants. Some are occupied by the many races of elves, dwarves, humans, and other sentient beings. Others are home to the more powerful creatures of good and evil, the angels and devils. However, should you visit the planes which no person would dare enter, where fierce beasts and monstrosities reside, and the atmosphere drives men to insanity, there lies the Yamnaya. Formerly human, the Yamnaya came to the outer planes in the name of exploration and research. Hundreds of expedition teams were sent out into the less inhabitable realms of the multiverse, and almost all of them were never seen or heard from again. However, those that survived and deigned to even return to civilization had been warped and mutated, transformed by the essence of their home plane. Most people viewed them as abominations of nature, and even today they continued to be slighted by society. However, their plights and knowledge are well respected by higher authorities and academics alike, who commonly sought Yamnaya out as advisors and researchers respectively. So yeah, they're basically humans that moved out into the outer planes and then mutated to adapt to their environments. So as a base, they are basically the same as humans. So same rate. Lifespan is basically based on which plane they live in. So if they're from an upper plane, it's longer. If it's lower plane, it's about the same. The reason I have just wisdom score increased by 1 and strength score increased by 1 is because the other increases happen within the other subclasses. That's kind of why. So you do get like that, you know, you get your variable point from those. Alignment, again, it's based on the plane. So, yeah, you have to kind of just read into whichever plane they're in and figure it out for yourself. Normally they give you a good hint. Walking speed is fine. Yeah, this is the thing that I thought was quite important because they have to be adaptive. So they're proficient in medicine and nature because they have to be able to kind of, you know, understand their environment well, and they need to be able to take care of themselves. Of course, primitive combat training, so they know, so you can handle a battle axe, an axe, a spear, and a scimitar. Very simple stuff. And then finally with languages, read, write, common, one extra language of your choice, and it's typically a language native to their plane. So say if you're on the plane of Hades, you might have like the ability to speak Abyssal, or if you're on the plane of Mechanicus, you might actually have Celestial. You know, something that fits with the theme of your area, essentially. But yes, so what I was thinking for updates necessarily is because I have a lot of particular abilities where essentially because if we look at how a lot of the stuff has changed in the fantastical races for Monsters of the Multiverse, like for example, I don't know if changelings show it. No, it's not changelings that have it. There's like one example I was thinking of very specifically. I think it's Genasi. No, it's not. I don't think it's Genasi. Actually, you can kind of see it in the Earth Genasi, but essentially it seemed like the new race reworks are pushing from basically having like a one-time ability such as you know, the ability to shrug off damage and stuff like that. They've basically now had a lot of things that are tied to proficiency bonuses. So, you know, at the start you have 2, and then by the end you have 6 charges of it. And you can see it with, like, say, the Earth Genasi here with their merge with Stone for Blade Ward. And I think you can also see it... I'm trying to remember which other one has it. But anyway, there's a lot of races that have that potential ability. And Earth Genasi just happens to be the closest one that shows it. So what I'm thinking is we can basically take some of these smaller powers, like the Faunal Legacy and stuff like that, and we can essentially turn them into equal to proficiency bonus, so to speak. I don't know how you program it though, so I'm going to do what I always do in this situation, which is basically I can create a race and pull one of the Monsters of the Multiverse versions, which I assume are these legacy ones that they're talking about. Let's see. I mean, we can also just kind of just pull the Earth Genasi one. Yeah, because one of the interesting things you can always do is if you see something in a race that you want to program into your own thing, you can literally just pull up their own like traits and stuff, and you can just see how they code it. Like for example, we want to figure out how this Blade Ward works. Okay, that's an options thing. Wait, where's the thing? Do they not show... Hang on a sec, how to spell? I want to see this. Stat modifier, operator, only ritual. They just not have it programmed in? There's no way that's right. Hold on. I'm testing something. Let's get this test character up for a second. I want to see this because there's no way they like programmed it in without you being able to check it. Like, where is it? Oh, where would it be? Go to race. We already know the Floran works fine. Where's Earth Genasi? I want to see this. I want to see if this actually works. Where are you, Earth Genasi? There you are. Yep, so they have the mode with stone. Let's see if it works when I set it. Okay. So we'll set it to intelligence. And oh yeah, I forget that you can now choose sizes now. This is such a weird thing to have, like being able to choose your size. Yeah, so new options, which is introducing cauldron of everything. That's all fine. I just want to see if this blade wood thing works. That's what I want to know. Okay, so it does work. And they have it set up as a... Yeah, okay, so they have it coded as a separate spell. Interesting. But then that just begs the question, why did they... Like, why can't you... What's it called? Like, why can't you see it in the back end? Because every time I've used this, I've always been able to see it in the back end. Mode with stone. It's just not there. It's so bizarre. Okay, I have a new idea then. Because there's a few other races that have this. The phase step has this. So I'm going to... Okay, so let's try setting the phase step with this. So we'll go back to creations. We'll basically make a copy of the Eladrin, and then we'll push that. And we'll see if that works. So race, create race, Eladrin. Hopefully this works. I just need to be able to figure out how they set it based on proficiency bonus. That's like the one thing I want to know how to code up. Where is it? Phase step, there it is. I need to see how they do it. Phase step, reset type, long rest. Yeah, that's the spell. Wait, does this have a spell thing? I am very confused. Let's take a look at this, because they have it set as an action. Range 30, bonus action, long rest. Ah, that's how they do it. Okay, so they set it up as an action. That's what it is. Interesting. Okay, then that is very easy to code up. That is very easy. Okay, so let's figure this out. What... brain's trying to kick in. What abilities do we want to have set as based on proficiency bonus? Because again, some of these, they're very simple. We know we can make it based on proficiency bonus. Like, for example, I think the chaos control thing, this chaos control table, I think we can run that on proficiency bonus. I think Fauna Legacy could probably be, because again, it's a creature from the familiars list with CR 0, so it's not super strong. Like, the only ones I think I might be hesitant on doing it with is like maybe the Arcane Flight. Actually, no, that could be moved to that. Yeah, pretty much all of these I feel could actually be moved to proficiency bonus without too much issue. Except for this one, because again, that one's just a simple passive. Libra, yeah. Okay, so no. So the two we don't need to do it for are Libra and Insania. The rest we can change it. So that's Anima, Chaotica, Gemina, and Glomar. Because the Insania, these are the ones that are stuck in Pandemonium. They just have the mental resilience from dealing with the winds. And then the Libra have just... They're kind of a bit ridiculous. Because again, they have this advantage on Arcana checks, but disadvantage on Nature checks. And then they have like basically that inactive state from the Warforged. And then there's mechanical armament power. That's basically that you can just have a weapon embedded in your arm as long as it's not two-handed or special. So you can't just have like a great sword in your arm, essentially. Although we may need to double check over that recode as well, just to make sure. But yeah, I think we can probably set these as proficiency bonuses. So let me just actually double. We'll come back to those. Let's fix up the anima first. So I think the nice thing with subclasses is that because they're kind of like set up separately to base Yamnaya, they're very easy to change. So we can just go into Faunal Legacy. Yeah, so so this was the thing that allowed us to give the creatures. This is what we need. So edit this action. We had it set to limited use. Let's change the new base to, if you have used proficiency bonus checked, choose whether you want proficiency bonuses to be added or multiplied to the number of uses calculated above. So what I'm thinking is we set it to number of uses of 1 times proficiency bonus. Because then that way, it's easy to set. It's interesting that you can set up some multiplication though, because imagine what you could do with that. Like imagine if you set this like thing to be like 2 times your proficiency bonus. You can just be able to transform into a familiar 12 times a day for a minute. That's kind of a little insane. Again, I don't think I'm going to need that. I might quickly just re-pull up the Yamnaya here just to double check that my details are correct and I don't have to change up anything else. Because again, my thought is, because it's for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a reasonable time length for this sort of action. Because it's basically a shorter shape-shifting ability. And it's not as strong as what's it called? It's not as strong as the other thing. We actually don't really need this either. Okay, so 1 times proficiency bonus. So hopefully that codes correctly. Don't know why it's taking so long to load the description. Even though I removed the description for a reason. Okay, so base proficiency bonus, save. So hopefully that will code correctly. Let's remove this typo that I've had on my mind for like the last freaking God knows how long. Add this to dictionary. So this should be fine. Oh yeah, we need to change the description. So you can use this feature. What is it? You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. And you regain, all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I'm going to copy paste that line because we're going to have to change it in basically all of them that need it. All right. Easy. Okay, I should probably also change the snippet. You can use your action to transform into a chosen... Use your action to transform into your chosen creature for 10 minutes, a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. There we go. I might actually copy that snippet just to make it a little bit easier. Because this is easy to copy over. Because once we kind of save this, we can just always access it off the My Creations. And then it's easy to grab that line. But the other one's not as easy to grab. Save changes just to be doubly sure. And now let us return to Creations. Oh, goddammit, we have to do all this again. It's actually probably easier to close this and reload, because we know it should work. Except I have to refilter again. Okay. Perfect. Yep, and I can see that that typo is fixed. Perfectamundo. Alright. Next up, the Chaotica. Yeah, the Chaotica were an interesting one to make because, again, I had to go through this table and figure out how to balance this. And I think I did a decent job at balancing this because again, there's plenty of decent buffs that aren't too strong, and there's plenty of debuffs that are a little crippling but not enough to like basically put your character out of the game, essentially. Okay, yep, so you can roll on the aim as a bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. So that should be all set up. Let's grab this line and quickly yoink that in. There we go. That should be easy. I don't think we need to change... Oh wait, no, we do actually have to change this. Yep, so Chaos Surge. You need to go to limited use and fix it up. Keep forgetting I have to do that. So, 1, proficiency bonus, multiplication. There we go. Right. The joys of programming. Thankfully, it's all like super simplified because, let's be honest, it's D&D Beyond. They know how to simplify these things a lot. So even someone not proficient in coding could make all this. Did I actually remember to change the description? Why did that not save? Do you want to explain that? Why that did not save? God damn it. I thought that worked. God damn it. I'm just going to have to freaking get this open and just keep that racial trait open so I can just copy it over and over. God damn it. It's never simple, is it? Copy that. As a bonus action, okay, so hopefully that should now fix it up. Save it. I'm going to make sure that worked. Because if I have to go back and re-enter all this, is it purely because I changed the action? If it's purely because of that, I'm actually going to be a little mad. It probably is because of that. God damn it. It's fine though, because this is all saved. It's all saved, so now it's not going to be a hassle. You're not going to be a hassle to me, are you? Save changes one last time. Because again, it's best to save and save again. Because I know how this likes to work. Let's double check. Perfect. That's all coded right now. I'm going to quickly delete this copy of the Earth Genasi because we don't need that anymore. And delete the copy of Eladrin because we don't need that anymore. Alright, what's next? Yep, Gemini. Yeah, the Gemini Yamnaya I think were my favorite to create because I kind of thought their abilities were kind of really cool. Like the idea of the arcane flight, and then just of course the what's it called? The choices for the Bitopian legacy. I thought those two were very nice abilities to have, especially considering the nature of Bitopia being like the twin paradise and the fact that it would be very easy to move around if you're flying. Okay, where is it? Copy this line for later. Yep, so summon a pair of Arcane Wings. The wings have a similar appearance to angel wings, but are translucent and glow with a dim blue light. Yep, and I'll just copy the entire description, I think, because you can't really shorten this. Perfect. Save that since we've learned our lesson from last time. Now let's go back and fix up the action. Wrong thing, that is the wrong trait. God damn it. Arcane Flight, there we go. Easy peasy. I hope this does. I will say, I do hope that this is actually giving a good insight into what's it called? How to basically code up your own homebrew, and also just, I guess, the importance of having I guess external references to help you out with this sort of thing. I mean, for me, my external reference is just my friend of mine who basically knows D&D inside and out, and he is genuinely one of my closest friends when it comes to this sort of thing, because there has been a lot of times where I've struggled to balance these sorts of creations, and he's been very much a guiding light in terms of that. So I am always very thankful for his insight on this. Like, he was actually the one who helped me balance the Maokai race when I made it. Granted, he and I still have differences on how the Sunai race can be balanced, but again, something we can work on. Because I will admit, this is kind of a bit of a broken. This is still kind of a bit of a broken race to run, but something we can potentially fix over time. All right, last one is, this is Gloma. Yeah, so let's fix the last one, Gloma, and then I think that's everything we need to get done. We may actually be finally finished with all of this. Oh wait, yeah, I forgot I kept this open because that's where we were copying this on from. All right, the Devil's Dark Vision. This is the fun one. Yeah, because this one was basically the idea of you get dark vision, and then you can get the ability to see through magical darkness, which I thought was a really cool idea, because there's not much in D&D that allows you to see through magical darkness, aside from like a couple of magic items and what's it called? And like a subclass or two. So I was like, it could be nice to just have something that's, just a temporary way of giving yourself that what's it called? That light or that ability. Okay. Copy this line quickly. Yoink. There you go. Put that there. Perfect. Quickly save it. Try and remember what I had for this. Yeah, because I think the way it was coded was the modifier was for the dark vision, and then The modifier was for sensing dark vision, and the action is the actual Devil's Dark Vision, which is the one that's meant to give you the magical darkness sight, which was originally just 1, but now we're multiplying that by the proficiency bonus, essentially making it just the proficiency bonus. It's such a weird roundabout loop. Like, there's no way to just set it to be, hey, can you just set it to proficiency bonus? It's like, no, you have to make it 1 times the proficiency bonus if you want it to be based on proficiency bonus. It's like, do we really need this roundabout song and dance? Like, just make it that we can just set it, hey, proficiency, stop asking questions. But as we know, not everything can be simplified in such a fashion. All right. I think that's all fixed. Let's go take a little peek and see if that has been modified. So it's Gloma, I think. Yes, there we go. Perfect. So now those should all be set. The Insania, yeah, they're fine. They don't need anything too special. And then I think the Libra is still quite balanced based on what I remember. So yeah, the Libra are fine. I think that might be everything. I guess since we have a little bit of time, I will show off probably my 2 proudest races outside of the Yamnaya, or well, the only 2 other races I made, which are the ones that they're basically based on the Maokai and Sunai from the Savage Song, which is for those of you who haven't heard of it, it's a I guess you would call it a supernatural series set in almost like a modern day city that is basically divided in a similar fashion to North Korea and South Korea, where there's two leaders with very different mindsets, and one of them, I guess, has embraced the strength that these creatures, the Maokai and the Sunai, create or have provided him, and the other is fighting against it. They're trying to make sure that they can eradicate it all, whilst also secretly using a few of them or a few of the special ones, which are the Sunai. So we'll start with the Maokai, since these weirdly are getting a lot of views. So many people have viewed this. Are there that many fans of this Savage Song that I just didn't realize? Like, if so, that is genuinely surprising to me. But yeah, the way I kind of built... Okay, so this is the interesting thing. How you get the Maokai in to D&D. Because based on the original, book, they're basically creatures that originate from when people get murdered. Because it's what the Korsai originate from violence, the Maokai originate from murder, and then the Sunai, which we'll cover as well, originate from basically mass extinction events. Well, not exactly mass extinction, but mass deaths. One of them was literally formed from the mass suicide of a cult. But yes, so the way I kind of felt it is I made them into creatures of the abyss, but of course they don't acknowledge the demon lord that created them, so they just go off and do their other things. And when a murder occurs in the primal plane, they can basically enter it by essentially tearing a planar portal, a temporary planar portal for themselves to just climb through. That was my kind of roundabout way to do it. And again, they're rumored to exist. They exist in legend, but most people don't believe they're real. And then the actual description here is actually based off the description given on the wiki. So again, vaguely human in contact appearance, save for dark bones beneath translucent skin with ember red eyes. Unlike the Korsai, they're solitary, independent predators that feed on blood, and they refuse to cooperate with other Maokai. And they're weakened by sunlight, but they can still move in it. They're essentially vampires with a lot less of the downsides. So the way they were set up was high dex, because they're meant to be kind of, stealth hunters. with the option of either Constitution or Wisdom, depending on whether you want them to be a little bit tanky or a little bit more kind of like observant. Age, they live for freaking ever. They're like 300, 400 years, and they never physically age. But the essence that keeps them alive basically is their quote unquote like aging. Innate tendency towards evil though, but can learn to live alongside others given enough time. Size, they're just about the same as humans. That's how they were in the book. Yeah. Okay, so they can speak Abyssal because, as mentioned, they are creatures of the Abyss. And so because of that, that is important. The Dark Vision is enhanced Dark Vision, similar to what the Drow have. And so because of that, they also have the sunlight sensitivity. We kind of mentioned this earlier, the like Shadow Claws and the Predatory Bite, how they're basically natural weapons that have a little bit of an extra boost if they're in dim light or darkness, giving you more reason to be in dim light or darkness. And then this final one, Cloak of Shadows, is basically a simple reaction thing. So if you get hit with an attack, you can give yourself resistance to like, basic bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, but you also get vulnerability to radiant. So it's not good to use against paladins unless you're really itching for like some sort of defense. And then yeah, it's just a once per short rest thing. So that's kind of how I had them set up. And this was balanced based on what my mate said. Like, he was the one who suggested giving them this enhanced dark vision with sunlight sensitivity. And I don't remember if this is the other thing. The fact that they are a fiend rather than a humanoid. This became a very important point of roleplay, because I have run a Maokai once within his campaign. And the way I had to introduce him was that essentially he made his way into the material plane. He immediately got hunted down by a paladin and a cleric, and had to essentially beg for his life and say, look, I'll work, if I work for the town guard, help you, will you let me live? And they accepted him. And so the way he kind of subsided was that he would work with the town guard, but was particularly under this particular paladin and cleric. And then when he needed to get blood, he'd basically go hunt rats in the sewers to keep himself alive. It was a good character, but I definitely played him a little bit to be too heavy on the, I only live to survive thing, and so he didn't last too long. I think he lasted like 4 or 5 sessions last I remember. But again, depends on how skilled you are as a role player. At the time, I was not very skilled at role playing evil characters. He was my first evil character. He was lawful evil, but who knows? Maybe y'all are better at this. So this is the one that's going to need a lot of rebalancing, and this is kind of where I'm almost bouncing opinions off you guys to think how to rebalance this. So, to give an idea of what the Sunai are like in this Savage Song, the way they're set up is that they basically look like humans from the outside. The only difference is 1, pure black eyes. 2, their skin is actually like basically metal. You can't cut them. And 3, they basically have like a siren lure where if they start playing music, if the person they're singing to is has basically committed a sin, they get drawn in like a siren. And if they get close enough, the Sunai can just basically rip their soul out and eat it. So they are very terrifying creatures in the series. And the way I kind of set them up is that essentially they do spawn again from, events of utter devastation, such as, mass suicide of religious orders, genocide of whole forests due to blight, obliterations of entire cities, and that they actually originate from the Shadowfell. And again, they kind of, Again, they have the purpose similar to an Asimar's. They want to purge evil wherever it exists. However, because of the fact that their origin is of a darker tone, it becomes a lot more, it becomes a lot more sinisterly used. Like, I had as a thing in like an old campaign that ended up being abandoned, that essentially a noble essentially had a Sunai kept like chained up in a pit, and was just basically feeding them sinners like over and over to essentially make them all the more powerful. But yeah, and then again, this is just kind of the base description from the book. So they look entirely human as long as they're fed not on flesh or blood, but on the souls of sinners. They can bring those souls to surface using either music or pain. I forgot about the pain thing. And the markings that can identify them are the tattoos that ring their skin, counting the days since they last gave in to darkness. Yeah, this is the other thing. The reason they ate souls is because if they didn't, they turned dark, and they would tend to have seriously dangerous effects. Like, I think from the 3 Sonai in the book, the ones the most terrifying literally became almost like a nuclear explosion that wiped out, I want to say I think it was like a 500 kilometer radius, just completely wiped off the map. So they're no joke. Unlike other monsters, they have 2 distinct forms, human and devil. And then to see their devilish form is you're basically asking for a bad time. So of course, because they're kind of, I guess, siren-esque in nature, I had it that they've got the charisma because that's how they work, and then you could either increase strength or con, giving them that option to be, a lot more front line, more forward, because even in the book, they're designed to be, very much frontline fighters, or at least one of them is. The other 2 are much more passive, so to speak. Then age-wise, again, they're much longer because again, they don't physically age. Like, even in the book, even though like one of them looks like a child, he never physically ages. Like, he is just perpetually in a state of he looks 16, but he's probably lived for way longer. No real tendency towards good and evil. That was just a basic one because, again, depending on upbringing, and like I actually kind of had it more that even that like based on the tragedy that brought them into existence would drive their instincts. So like say if it was like, the mass suicide of a cult, then maybe the tenets of the cult would become their driving force, so to speak. Again, these are all just kind of spitballing, and as of yet, I still have not completely perfected this. Enchanting Voice, this was just basically similar to like the Tiefling magics, so giving them the Friends cantrip, giving them the ability to cast Command, and Suggestion. So very kind of basic ones. I forgot that I set this to a 2nd level. I don't know why I did. I think it's because I wanted them to be able to target multiple people. I probably will need to change that in the future to just you can cast a command spell once, because otherwise that could be very, very powerful. Like, command is not the most powerful spell, but even just as a racial ability, that can be quite strong. These 2 are the ones that are the hardest. These ones are going to be the hardest to balance. Firstly, the Killing Pact, because that's kind of like the biggest lore thing. Because the way I have it at the moment is this. So they live with the Killing Pact, so you have to kill at least 1 evil humanoid, fae, fiend, or undead every 2 weeks. And then for every day you maintain this pact, you have that tattoo that appears on your body. If you don't, though, you go dark. Your symbols fade, your eyes turn black, your body morphs into the devil form. While you're in this state, your alignment is chaotic good. You gain 1d6 temporary hit points at the start of your turns, so you're always like, I guess, having some layer of protection, but you're placed under the same effects as enemies abound, and you're kind of almost more driven to kill things that are evil. So it kind of blinds you to who are your party members and who aren't. And so, yeah, the form lasts for a minute or until you fall unconscious. And then for every successive week that you don't kill it, the effect's duration increases longer. So the longer you kind of, don't deal with it, the more it becomes an issue, because you get stuck in this state where you have little control over what you are. And you can choose to resist it, but if you do, it's a heavy penalty. So on a successful save, you take some psychic damage. On a fail save, 2 levels of exhaustion. Just straight up 2 levels of exhaustion. Again, this is something I'm still trying to balance out. This may be something where, like, in a future one of these, I might like update as to how I am trying to address the notion of it. But I want to try and make this work if I can. And then the Siren Song is just basically if you're playing music, you can basically lure people in, which is almost exactly the same as it basically works exactly the same as the Harpies ability. So yeah, hopefully this can work. I don't think it's too strong, especially because I make it a once per short rest thing. It might become something where I use it as a once per long rest thing, but we'll see. But yeah, that's kind of the insight into those two. So you can see I do have a tendency to try and work things in to D&D where I can, like especially with, like you could see I've tried to do it with the Savage Song. I've just done it with the Floran from Starbound. I know in one of my other campaigns, I started drafting out the idea of how you would implement the hours from Culture Simulator into D&D, and that might be something I discuss in the future, potentially, if people are interested. But yeah, for now, though, I think that is where we will call it. So thank you all for coming. You've been a wonderful audience tonight. To those of you watching the VOD, either on Twitch or on YouTube, thank you for your time. I do appreciate it. Special thank you to Steph for popping into chat and making this a fun time. Hope you all have had a lot of fun with this. I know I definitely have, and I want to keep doing more D&D homebrew stuff. I might actually make a Twitter post to request certain things to be created in homebrew, so it's not just me going on about stuff I've wanted to create. It can be more directly involved with the viewers. So definitely keep an eye out for that post. And like I said, I will post more details about how the karaoke stream is going to run, so keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, let's see who we can raid out to, because there should be a few people live. Ko's live, actually. We might go raid him and see what he's up to. From what I can tell, he looks to be chatting, which is normally what he likes to do, which is perfectly fine. You know what? Let's go raid Ko. Why not? Let me take us to our ending panel for tonight, as we always do. So yeah, let's go raid Ko. He seems to be having a nice chat. Let's pop in and see what he's up to. As always, our usual raid message is pub crawl. If you have the sub emojis, feel free to use them. If not, any combination you choose will work equally as well. And yeah, with that, thank you all for coming out tonight. I wish it was